Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jay and Will Show. It's been a long time. We should have left you without a dope pod to step to, but we did, so we apologize. But we're back. Obviously, as you guys know, I go by Jay, and always with my infamous partner in crime, I got Will. What's going on, man?
What up? Real quick, gotta put out RIP DMX.
Yes. Yes,
sir. Tough one right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Legend. Yeah. So we are joined today with other partners under the Glow Sub production umbrella. We're obviously excited to have on. I think for the first time on Jay and Will. So we're excited about that. I'll start off first by introducing our local Laker resident expert, Big D. Daryl. What's going on, man?
Man, I'm just happy to be here, man. About time.
I know, man.
With the freshest Kobe background ever, man.
Yes, sir. Crispy. I decided to shout you out too right here, if you don't mind. That's all right. You don't mind sharing the legend.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man.
Legends are forever. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, we got the brain trust behind Glow Sun Production. I think making his Jay Will debut as well. We have Rel. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, fellas? Matter of fact, this is my second time on y'all show.
Is it? Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
my
we
bad.
did.
It's been a while.
NBA topic before, so.
You're right. So welcome back to the show.
Sir.
Like I said, man, it's been a while since we had one of these, and but that will change. So you'll start to see us on a more consistent basis. So we appreciate the support. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, like the Glow Sun Production channel. If you're listening on the podcast services, please continue to support us there. Subscribe to the stream there as well, so that you're able to follow us as we continue to post. We're going to do our best to be more consistent. So we appreciate the patience with you guys, and we promise we'll reward you for that patience. I guarantee you that. So the topic of discussion for this particular episode is a little bit on the serious tip. We usually kind of joke around a little bit, but this one we definitely want to give it the appropriate attention that it deserves. So as you guys have been aware, there's been some back and forth for really the entire offseason with DeShaun Watson. Initially, the discussion was around him requesting a trade and wanting to get out of Houston, and the back and forth about whether or not they would decide to go ahead and move him or keep him. At one point, it sounded as if Houston was not interested in trading him and they were going to keep him. So there was a lot of discussion about should he sit out, should he play, all that type of stuff. And then the curveball came into play out of nowhere, and that is through recent allegations that have come up or that have been brought forward by, I think we're up to 22 now, I believe. 22 different women that alleged inappropriate actions that were taken as a result of massage therapy that was requested by DeShaun. The stories vary, and some of them are a little bit too graphic to discuss on here, but I certainly encourage you guys to do research if you haven't already to at least see what has been alleged of these 22 women. A couple of them have decided to come forward and actually identify themselves. And we've heard from at least one of them at this particular point in time. And I think there were a few that are scheduled to come forward later on here pretty soon. So it's certainly ongoing, and everything is alleged at this point. I know civil suits have taken place. And I think they recently have moved forward with involving Houston Police Department. So we'll see how that goes. But we wanted to discuss the whole thing because obviously there's a lot to unpack, from the trade request piece of things to where we stand today with the allegations that have come forward, and everything in between. So I felt like this was a great opportunity for us to bring back our discussion and have this piece because obviously we know that there was a struggle between DeShaun and the Texans, and then this kind of came out of nowhere. So there's been a lot of discussion about the timing of it and things of that nature. So I think we're gonna get into all that in this episode. So first thing I have to do is just kind of get you all's all individual thoughts on just the general situation at large. So I will start with Will. What are your thoughts as far as where things stand currently?
So initially thought it was just some craziness, as far as like not really being true, just because initially heard like the lawyer that's representing a good portion of the women was a former neighbor of the owner of the Texans. So I was like, oh, okay, this is just some wildness happening. And then as more and more women start coming forward, it's like, like what is really going on? And just thinking about like each of it is with the different masseuses, and it's crazy because like you would think that once you find a good masseuse, you're gonna stick with that one.
Yeah.
And so to have so many different ones that he possibly had, and just everything to go with it, it's just insane to hear about it because he's by far just from like just don't really know him, but just from understanding some of his backstory, uh, as far as like being a recipient of one of Work Done's family houses, and single mom household and things like that. So I was thinking like, okay, like hard worker. Hadn't heard anything bad about him coming from Clemson and stuff like that. And then bam, all this happens. Like, what is really going on? So
Right.
yeah, it just sucks because like it's hard to say that it's fake when it's all these women. But you also got to believe the women because if they come forward and they're lying, it makes it harder for other women who are telling the truth in a situation like this. So it's a really bad situation. I just feel bad for all the parties involved.
Daryl, what are your thoughts, man?
Kind of like what Will said, man. At first, I was more like, okay, maybe they trying to dig something up and throw some false accusations out there just to get him to kind of teeter off on his trade demand. But then, like you said, when more and more women start coming out, I read some of the stories that they were telling. It's a sticky, ugly situation, and you don't want to believe this about such a decorated athlete as far as DeShaun is. Like Will said, with his background, being a hard worker, keeping his nose clean for most of his time, and this accusation come out like this. It's like, man, I don't want to believe he did this, but with all these different stories and different women coming out, and then I was listening to a sports talk show, and they were talking about how the judges making one of the two main women that are with the main women with the suits. She's making one of them have to come forward and identify themselves. And one of the women is refusing to identify herself because she's already received death threats and all kind of other things. So it's turning into an ugly situation. So I mean, hopefully this isn't true. Hopefully these women didn't have to go through that because at the end of the day we don't want any battering or any misappropriating of anything happening between a man and a woman. We don't want anybody to be taken advantage of or forced to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
I just hate that this whole situation has come up because it's ugly, and especially for probably, on his end, his family, his mom, just women in his life peers are probably looking at him a little different, if they believe that this is true.
Yeah. Well, what you got, man?
Man, I would have never thought this would happen with DeShaun Watson, man. This is crazy. I mean, like you said, we got to get more evidence to see what kind of get the full story of what's going on. But 22 women, it does not look good, man. And all their stories and what happened with each one, each instance, it all kind of sounds alike. You know what I'm saying? It's starting to become a recurring pattern with all of them. And like Jay said, the court had ordered them to the women who the rest of the 22 women to come in and testify. And so now, man, it's crazy because like Daryl said, a lot of them, getting death threats and stuff like that. And, it's going to be kind of hard for them to kind of come out there in the open, but then the courts want them to come out in the open to help, strengthen the case for the prosecution or whatever.
Right.
And so I hate to see that this happening to DeShaun Watson, man. It's just one of those cases too, man. I never understood, DeShaun Watson is a one of the top athletes in the country, you know what I mean, in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, do you really feel like you have to do that, man, to get any type of pleasure or any type of attention from any women or anything like that, bro? You DeShaun Watson, bro. You just say hi and you're gonna get them, so you're gonna get their attention. You have to
in Houston, bro. In
Houston, bro. And it's just that's the part I didn't understand. I mean, I know that's not the important part,
right?
It's the women and how they feel. But I'm just saying, it just don't make no sense to me, man. When I see these type of cases and stuff, man, it's just like, now in the age of the Me Too movement, man, you have to be careful how you talk to women, bro. How you treat women. I mean, it's important before the whole movement how you treat women, but still, even in this day and age, it's like you can't do that to women, man. That's completely wrong. Put yourself in their shoes, or think of your mother or your sister or your whoever, you know what I mean? Somebody close to you as a woman, like, would you want somebody to do that to them? You know what I mean? And it's all it is guys like that, they use their power to get what they want. And that's just flat out wrong, man. Either way you slice it, bro. But don't want to draw conclusions yet. Yeah. But from what it's looking like, it's not looking good. And like you said, he wanted to get traded. And from what I heard, they halted trade talks and stuff like that. So I don't know what's going to happen, man, with this whole thing. Because now the NFL is kind of sending in their investigators.
Right.
What happened when that go down? It's not too good for you, bro. Now I'm hearing a lot of people talking about they might put them on the exempt list. And you know what I'm saying? It's just, it ain't good, man. It ain't good. But I hate to hear about it. I hate to hear the whole situation go down like this.
Yeah, so I think it is important to point out that at this point this is all alleged, right?
Yeah, all alleged.
We don't know, but 22 women, like you said, that many. That doesn't look good. And Will's point was, I completely agree. It's like, when you find somebody that's good at what they do, you usually don't start just collecting different people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you find a good barber, you don't keep going to different barbers. You stick with that barber. You find a good hairstylist, you don't keep going to different hairstylists. Like, you find a good one, you keep them. So, I mean, it's a little weird that even if he didn't do anything, to have 22 different masseuses, like,
that's why I say a lot of this stuff don't add up, man.
Yeah.
And it's more than 22 because I don't know if you guys saw that there was like a handful of women that came out and said, hey, he got massages from me and he never did anything. He never tried anything.
Yeah.
These were outside of the 22. So there's even more than the 22.
Jeez.
So, and to me, it's like, I don't care that he didn't do anything to you. Like, just because he didn't do anything to you don't mean he didn't do anything to anybody else. It just means he didn't do anything to you.
Exactly.
So that doesn't really do anything. It's like, and we're not going to talk about this, but the Matt Gaetz situation where he had like 8 women that worked for him put out some kind of letters talking about how good of a person he was and how he's all this other stuff. And it's like, what that got to do with what he's been alleged for? Like that's not just like, there's 2 different scenarios. Like, why are you even bringing this up? What are you talking about? Who cares? I don't care about that. But it is the tough part, and I know Daryl touched on this too. I think Will may have as well. I feel bad. I don't feel bad for DeShaun because it don't look good, right? Like I mean, what I'm saying is we don't know, but the fact that there's this many, I can't say I feel bad for him yet because it don't look good. Now, if it comes out that they all lied or whatever, then I feel bad for him. But I don't want to give him any kind of sympathy at this point because to me that feels like I'm sliding the women that came forward, and I don't want to do that. But what I was going to say is, I know that Daryl mentioned this too, is that women taking the step forward and identifying themselves, like that, their lives are changed forever. Like, especially when their names come out, when you Google their names, the first thing that's going to show up. You know, if they try to apply for jobs, I know jobs try to Google and stuff, that's the first thing that comes up. When people start seeing what these women look like, they can't really go out and do much stuff anymore, at least where they live now. If they're in Houston, as soon as people start seeing them on the news and they try and go do something, stupid ass Texans fans that are only in it for being excited about DeShaun are going to judge them and ridicule them and harass them for no reason. So the fact that some of them are being forced to identify themselves is very unfortunate because there are so many ramifications for that outside of this investigation that I feel like should be thought about before forcing them to identify themselves. So I feel for them, regardless of what happens, because their lives are changed forever. As soon as that name come out and as soon as their face is on the screen, that's it. Everything, the way they knew life before then is over because it's going to be carried through with them regardless of the outcome of this case, or cases rather. So I feel for them, and I think it's unfortunate that is something that's being required of some of them because they shouldn't have to do that to be able to provide proof of what did or didn't happen. But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. You know, I'm not an expert in that at all. I just feel like there should be a way to proceed in this without that.
It's the judges that's pushing it too. It was like 2 different judges that's pushing like 9 or so of the women to release their names. And so it's not even like the lawyers that's doing it. The actual judges doing it was just pretty unique and weird to me, not being a legal person, but it's just, I would think that they would want to take the precautions to protect them just because of how foolish people can be.
Yeah, and it's like they're being punished for trying to, you know, they're a victim. If this is true, they're a victim of something, and now they're being punished for trying to correct the wrong that took place. So that's unfortunate. I did want to ask you guys if this does end up being true. If one of them is true, not even all 22, if one of those scenarios does turn out to be true, regardless of what ends up coming out of it, as far as punishment, whether it's jail time, probation, or whatever the case may be, do you all see a scenario where he plays another down in the NFL? I'll start with Rel.
Man. So you're saying just in any case, if he's guilty or if he's not guilty, you asking if he's gonna play another game?
If any of the 22 end up being true, right?
Yeah.
So let's say 21 and 22 they throw out, they don't have enough evidence or whatever. But if there is even one that they find him guilty of, do you think there is a chance that he does play another snap in the league?
Because I'm trying to compare it to when Rice was more violent. Well, yeah, it's more violence. It's kind of hard to say, man, because it was easier to keep Rice out because he was in a kind of on the decline.
He was declining.
Yeah, like Deshaun Watson is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. So it's gonna be
and you can also use that same argument. Kareem Hunt was on camera.
Yeah.
And he's still playing.
He's still playing,
Yeah.
So I would say yes, because like I said, he's a top 5 quarterback. He's still young and all that. I would say yes, but there's going to be some teams that are going to kind of be a little hesitant. Matter of fact, Antonio Brown, he kind of had the same type of incident, you know what I'm saying? And he been to like 2 different teams since after that incident, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the incident was he was with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think he was with the Raiders.
Ended up going to New England and then Tampa.
Yeah.
He went to 3 teams. So So see what I'm saying? So
it was just craziness. It was craziness.
What's that saying? They say the talent outweighs the headache or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, top 5 quarterback. I mean, I can see some teams probably giving him a chance. They're gonna be a little hesitant at first, because he's got to make it look like, we were really trying to think about it or whatever, and probably keeping him, or if Houston trade him, it's gonna probably get some low, probably like some 6 to 7 round picks for him or something like that. I don't see them getting I think I heard rumors about they're supposed to be giving like 3. He was looking at maybe getting 3 first round picks for him if you trade him or whatever. So that's out the window. You might be lucky if you get a 4th. You know what I mean? Now, so I don't know. I can probably see him still playing.
Can I just throw a quick addition to the scenario? If he does get caught or he does get found guilty, and does some jail time, let's say he goes to jail for a year or 2. When he comes out of jail, do you think that changes things, or do you still feel like he's still a top 5 quarterback, so he may still get a chance?
I mean, if Vic did it, I think he can do it. You know what I'm saying? And he's a better overall quarterback, not athlete, but quarterback than Michael Vick. And so
I think this, and I'll throw it back to Daryl and to Will. But I will say I'm because I want to know how much this weighs compared to dogfight, right? That's the ultimate question. Is this worse than dogfighting, or if it's the same? Because
can I say something though on that?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but most of them white women.
I don't know because they haven't identified.
Yeah,
I know.
I seen like the one.
I hate those.
I know the one.
In there, but,
she wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? I think if there was some white women, he might get a little heavier fine, bro. Little heavier punishment. I'm just saying.
It's 22 of them, so I'm sure at least one of them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I guess that can be the equivalent of Vic being involved in the dog. Yeah, the dog. You know how they kind of play certain importance on,
That's what I'm curious about.
So that's why when you said it, like, we depend on the women. So
what'd you say, Will?
No, he's gonna play.
Okay.
He's not kneeling for the flag, so or the anthem. So he'll be back.
I mean, hey. Yeah.
That's the ultimate.
That's the barometer right there.
Yeah. That gets you kicked out the league. Not putting hands on women.
Throwing women on beds of guns.
Exactly. Not killing somebody while you drunk.
Hello.
None of that none of that will get you out the league.
Right.
But kneeling will.
He'll
be back. He'll be back.
How many you killed 10? Oh, okay. But did you kneel though? You did? Okay, you could.
You didn't kneel?
He can be found guilty with all 22, and I think the league will still take him. It'll be a couple years later, but he'll be right back. And it's ridiculous. I think it will be absolutely ridiculous, but that's what we'll be dealing with.
And I think timeline-wise, he would be younger if he were to go to prison or jail or whatever. He would be younger than what Vic was when he went. So essentially, it depending on the length of the sentence.
Yeah.
He could come out and be younger than what Vic was when he came out, and we saw the opportunities he got. So, Daryl, what you saying, man? What you think?
I mean, I feel like this would be another Michael Vick situation. I mean, not comparing the two acts, because to me, it's a little different.
Yeah,
I can see this being a scenario. It could be a scenario to where it's kind of like what happened with Plaxico Burress.
They shut himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so it could be on those two fronts. You know, we mentioned somebody when you running somebody over with your car. I honestly feel like the NFL kind of looks over a lot of stuff that happens with their athletes. It makes me say like, okay, you redeemed yourself, so come on back and play. I think he'll play if he is, because he'll be out of our spot, out of our eyes for a little while. And then he'll be one of those redemption stories. Because basically that's what they kind of play in Michael Vick as.
Yeah.
They painted as him an NFL redemption story. Not as a man that came out and reinvented himself, but as an NFL image reconstruction. So I mean, yeah, I feel like he'll probably play it again, but I don't think we'll look at him the same.
Look at Tiger Woods. Remember the same thing with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now everybody love him again. You know what I mean? So, like Daryl said, it probably will take some time. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be something overnight. I hope he don't go to jail. You know what I'm saying? But if he actually becomes guilty of the crime, then I mean,
You gotta go.
He gotta go. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I think it's just crazy because under no circumstances, if he's found guilty, should he be allowed to play again? He shouldn't be allowed to play again.
You don't think so?
I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying he shouldn't be allowed.
He shouldn't.
To
play.
I'll agree on that.
And if you remember, like when Vic came out, you know, everybody, PETA and everybody in the whole wide world was like, "Oh, this is a travesty. He shouldn't be allowed to do this and this." And then he went out and started balling, and then everybody just fell in love with
quiet.
him. It was like, I thought you said he shouldn't be playing, but you got his jersey now. So
no, I was saying he shouldn't be playing without some socks on. Oh, okay, that's what you meant.
That with Vic, I didn't understand. He did his time, like.
And on top
so
of that,
he can't get a job.
The whole thing with Vic was I had to keep telling folks this: Vic is not the one who single-handedly killed the dogs. He just happened to be the biggest name in that case, and they wanted to make an example out of him. Exactly, it was his house. Exactly. That's the only. He's trying to explain it for. They made it sound like he was back there himself doing it to the dog. Like, no, he had nothing to do with it. It was his property. He was a big name in that case, and they wanted to make an example out of him.
And that reminds me of I see a jersey you got on. It reminds me of the Allen Iverson situation when
the bowling alley.
I mean, they eventually threw that case out, but he was the guy they wanted to make the example out of because he was Mr. Virginia in basketball, Mr. Virginia in football. He was the guy, and so him being involved in that situation, they wanted to make an example out of him to put everybody else behind him in line, and he got leniency by the state of Virginia to be released or whatever, and they threw out the case. But in that case, the details have not ever come out as to exactly what happened in that case, but there are a lot of stories that say he wasn't involved in it, but he got caught up in it because he was there. This is a little bit different because obviously if he gets found guilty, that means he actually did, he did it. So it's a little bit different. But again, if you're talented enough, they'll find a way to make a reason why they want to give you a chance. Because Kareem Hunt, I mean, he was putting hands and feet on the young lady, dragging her and all type of stuff, and it was on tape. Didn't he
hit her and then go back again or something and kick her or something?
Wild, bro. But because he was talented, and he's a beast on the field. Tyreek Hill, same thing.
Yeah.
He was putting hands and feet on his baby's mom, and that didn't happen. We haven't heard anything since then. All we hear is he's the fastest receiver in the league.
Cheetah.
I think I agree. Unfortunately, because none of them should be in the league right now. And you look at how that you want to talk about boycotting somebody. That's a reason to boycott somebody, not for taking a stand against anyway.
Yeah, we'll be on that subject all night.
Yeah, for real. So I wanted, and I think we kind of discussed internally. I think we just wanted to kind of give this situation some light from our perspective, because, like Will, like when you first hear about this, considering the timing of it, I think a knee-jerk reaction is to question the validity of it, just because of the timing of it.
Right.
One thing that I think is at least I've thought about is there are situations all the time where a corporation finds out about some wrongdoing that one of their top performers or top executives did, and they cover it up. So I'm curious as to whether or not Houston knew about this, but because of how important he was to the franchise, they decided to keep it hush.
Yeah.
And because he decided he wanted to leave, that they use this as an opportunity to pull back the veil and let everybody know. Because there are situations where these type of things happen. Maybe not this specific scenario, but things happen where if this gets out, it makes us look bad, makes you look bad. So we'll hold on to it to protect you.
Yeah.
And we've seen this happen before in other, maybe not necessarily NFL, but like different kind of scandals where we find out that, the organization knew about this the whole time, and they could watch the football team. They knew about all the allegations that happened with their cheerleaders and all that type of stuff, but they kept it to themselves because they knew if it got out, it would damage the reputation of the organization.
Right.
So I think it's possible that they at least knew to some degree that this was happening, but they protected DeShaun because they wanted to keep him on the field. And they knew that if they had a chance to win, he was going to have to be on the field. So I'm curious, and obviously there's no way to know this, at least not now, but I'm curious to know whether or not they actually knew about this and kept it mum. And then when he decided he wanted to get traded, they said, you know what? We're going to let this out. Yeah. So you won't have no trade value, and you but to either play with us or not play at all, because that trade value is not going to be there. So I don't know. Like there's no, I haven't seen that anywhere, but my mind thinks the way it thinks. I'm like, I wonder if they knew about this the whole time and just kept it to themselves because they didn't want to tarnish anything and they wanted to keep him under their thumb. And now that he wants to leave, they're like, okay, cool. You want to leave? I'm going to show you. Yeah. Get Rusty Harden on the phone or whoever the attorney is on the phone. And we got to get it cracking with this lawsuit. So it's unfortunate either way around it. Like, because now his reputation is done, regardless of whether or not this is true. It's a wrap. I think Nike paused their endorsement deal with him.
Yeah.
He's by Dre canceled it altogether, so he's not getting that money anymore.
Oh, they canceled it?
Yeah. Nike paused theirs.
Yeah, Nike paused. I heard that. I know.
Dre pulled out. They canceled it. So he's already trying to see ramifications of it without even being, guilty or not guilty at this point. This is just like a really. This is crazy because it just came out of nowhere. Yeah. So does it? What do we expect this to go away? Or let me ask this question: if he decides to settle, which to me means he's guilty, because if you're trying to settle, I mean you're trying to brush it under the rug, right?
Yeah.
If he settles and nothing comes out of it in terms of a guilty plea or anything like that, and it just kind of goes away with whatever the settlement is, does that in any way change you guys' perception of him? Or is it just because sometimes people will settle just to get stuff out, like regardless of whether they're guilty or not, because it can look away. They just want it to go away and stuff. So, but if he does go that route, which I feel like he will, or I feel like he wants to, but it's 22 cases. That's a lot of money to delve out if he decides to sell.
I was about to say. Well, he did just sign that contract, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean,
he did. I'm just curious to know if you guys' perception of him will change if he does take that route and decide to settle, instead of letting it get to the point to where it actually goes to court and they're actually able to come up with a determination whether he's guilty or not. I'll start with Ralph.
Man, I mean, it's to the point we probably don't have no choice, right? It's gonna probably change. You know what I mean? Because it's already kind of, if you think about it, kind of got us looking at him in a different light right now. You know what I mean? Even if though we're not 100% sure what's going on and stuff, you know what I'm saying? It still has in that light, public perception and all that stuff. And, it's just, like I said before, it's unfortunate. You hate to see this for a young black man. We go through enough already in the country, and now this hits you. But yeah, to answer your question, it's gonna probably change my perception of him, man. Just because, like I say, it was just too many witnesses, too many stories sounding alike. You know what I'm saying? And like Josh said too, it could just sound real suspicious of you getting all those different masseuses and all that stuff, man. It's gonna definitely change my perception of him, man.
Will?
Yeah, it's going to change my perception. Because I guess technically it's not really a guilty plea, but it's still, you put yourself in this situation and now you're going to have to learn,
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that this has happened, or as far as the possibility of him having done all this. It's sad. It's just really sad. But yeah, the way that I would think of him, it would change completely. Going from just seeming to be honest, seeming to be just a good hard worker, to now, bro, you out here just wilding out like this?
You're a sicko.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, yeah, you got issues. Because I don't understand why. Yeah, just why though?
Yeah.
That's just at the end of the day. Why did you? Why? Because
why?
Yeah, that's how you can say it. Why?
Yeah, because it's not even necessarily the. So it's already weird that you have so many different masseuses to deal with, and being an athlete, you should want a good masseuse to get keep your body in tip top shape. But more than 5, it's already getting weird, and to hit over 20 is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm already thinking of him different, and so for him to settle, it makes it even worse. As far as me thinking about him.
Darryl?
Yep. Because I mean, my whole thing is always being athletes, though, like, you are on a different playing field than a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you have the means to keep yourself out of trouble.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, sometimes as an athlete, when you have the means to facilitate your food, it goes into overdrive. Because now it ain't nothing stopping. So I say, if any of this is true, if he buys himself out of it, it's gonna change my perception. I'm already kind of like, man, how did you get yourself in this situation?
Right.
Why did you get yourself in this situation?
Right.
You at the top of your game. Now, I always told myself, like, if I was ever an athlete, bro, I'd be the most boring athlete there was. Like, I would be at home.
Especially nowadays, bro.
Exactly. I bet the house chilling.
Yeah, like I would. My house would be my sanctuary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do nothing, like, because there's too much. There's too many situations that could happen to where you get yourself into some stuff that you can't get out of. And a lot of our athletes, like our young athletes, don't quite understand staying clean and staying out of keeping their nose like that. Like, and then a lot of us have friends and family members that, like you said, in the whole big thing, that wasn't his operation. He just happened to be the biggest name there. Most of them was family members. They done messed up the family cookout. They done lost all of this. Like, so when you're at the top of the game, and I know I've been kind of jumping off subject, but when you're the breadwinner, when you're the top athlete, bro, you keep your nose clean. You stay out of trouble. You make it to where you keep that same lifestyle under wraps. You don't do all this extra stuff that you used to do before you had them.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy no more. You gotta learn how to grow out of being that guy, because eventually that same foolishness that you did when you didn't have the money, it's gonna magnify 10 times more now that you do have. And so if he was doing this before he had the money, I mean, it was bound to grow if he didn't kill it then. But even more so now it's grown from 1 to 5, 22 to we don't know how many allegations are going to come out by the time this is over with. That's an ugly situation to put yourself in. And if I don't know if he's married, if he got a girlfriend or whatever, how do you explain that to them? How do you explain that to your mom? I don't know if he has a sister or not. How do you explain that to your sister? The women in your family, how do you explain that you did this? So, and then it's an ugly situation. And I hate that it even came to that point. But definitely, to answer the question, yes, my perception is.
And I think it's also important to mention too that some news that came out today that his attorney mentioned that he did have sex with some of the masseuses, but the sex that he had was consensual. So the fact that you gotta say that,
yeah,
That's
not looking good, man.
Yeah,
ain't looking good.
Exactly.
Ain't looking good. If that's your defense, you're in trouble, Jack. That's all. That
changes the game, man. Like you have to, you can't put yourself in them kind of situations, bro. And I mean, I know as a star athlete, as a male, you guys are urges, you got women falling all over you, bro. Like where is man? You DeShaun Watson, bro. You don't have to worry about nothing. You have the means and the money to be able to really basically give any woman what you want.
right.
The legit one. You don't have to force yourself on anybody. And anybody that's watching, we're not giving him. We're just speaking from the perspective of if he did do this, there's no way that I don't want to condemn this man, but it ain't looking good. That's all I can say. It's just it ain't looking good.
Yeah, everything that comes out is worse. Like there's nothing that you look at and you're like, oh, okay, well at least whatever. Everything is worse. Like to have your attorney come out and say, well, okay, he did have sex with some of them, but the ones he did, it was all consensual. It wasn't like it was like, oh yeah, you forgot. It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh man.
It can go one or two ways, but like we could have another Darren Sharper issue.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that we would have never expected this from him.
Yeah.
And look what happened with it. Or I mean, it's so many different things that happen with athletes in their lifestyles and things that change over time, bro. Like it's just and we can name athletes that have done some bad things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we don't want to go down there, but I can think of a few that have done some terrible things to people. and it's an unfortunate situation. So I just we hope for the best, but like we've all said, it's just gonna look good.
And I just want to say something real quick too, because I know we're gonna wrap soon, but we got to stop comparing this to other stuff. Like, well, let me explain what I'm talking about. So I saw something on Twitter, which of course that's the when you start talking about that, it's already bad.
Yeah,
but
it's
Twitter every
already
time.
bad.
the gentleman, I can't think of the guy's name that was the defensive lineman for Seattle recently. That was
Oh yeah,
The white boy.
yeah,
With the long hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw something that basically was saying like, y'all are going after DeShaun for what's going on with him, but I ain't heard nobody talk about this dude in a month or whatever else. It's like, why are you comparing?
both were bad. It shouldn't matter.
They say that like, please don't throw race in this. This don't have nothing to do with race, bro. Like, let's
honestly, to tell you the truth, AJ, that's what that's about.
It is.
Why they throwing that out there? Let's just be honest.
It is.
Throwing that out there is because Sean was a black man and this guy was a white.
Yeah.
And that's the whole basis of them comparing the two.
Right.
And that's what we do. That's what we do in this country, in this climate, in this time. We take the black and white situation and we try to compare the two, where both of the crimes are both bad.
They both bad.
Exactly.
They both bad crimes, but they're looking at it in the aspect of one sin is greater than the other. We both know that not one sin is greater than the other. But that's what they do. That's what we were doing in this time and time. We don't look at the substance of the bad act in itself. We looking at it in the aspect of a black and white term.
Right.
And then it's like, why are you defending him? Like,
that's what I'm about to say. Yeah.
That part.
Why are you defending him? Like that like that. It's a loose comparison, but this reminds me of a little bit of R. Kelly. I hate to bring it up.
Yeah.
But like, there was a time, and I think to some degree, some people still feel this way, where people feel like, oh, he's just going after him because he's black. No.
Yeah. Because
that's not why they're going after him. They're going after him because he's a nasty man. And I don't understand. Sometimes our line of thinking is like, fam.
Yeah, we gotta get out of that.
It's not about race.
I think we gotta start. If a black person goes and kills somebody, they need to go to jail.
Yeah,
it got nothing to do with you being black. It don't got nothing to do with the white person not going to jail for what they did. If he kills somebody, he needs to go to jail. That's plain and simple.
And stop comparing it. It's like, I'm not talking about that case. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's very funny.
Yeah. They did the same thing with the Bill Cosby situation. They did the same thing when Big Ben had all of his allegations. Remember that?
Yeah. You know, Harvey Weinstein. So they're comparing the Bill Cosby Harvey Weinstein thing.
Yeah, they did all of that the same way. Anytime there's a black case and a white case, or a Hispanic case and a white case, or a black and Hispanic case, they always compare the two to try to justify the means of doing it, when in actuality, the whole process, the whole process is a bad thing.
Correct. Yeah. Wrong is wrong.
Exactly.
I missed that part.
Last time I checked, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I agree. It's just, we gotta do better, man. And I know this podcast ain't about that, but it's important to point out, because it's like, fam, why you do like, this is not the time for that. Like, if what is being alleged is true, ain't no reason to bring up the dude from Seattle. This don't have nothing to do with him.
Right.
Like, this has nothing to do with him. So it's
not. He's in jail. So it's like,
exactly. So
what is there to talk about?
He lost his job and he's in jail. Like, he's not going to be back in the league. So
I don't know. But as we put a bow on this, I do want to give you guys an opportunity, if anybody has any last words they want to add to it. Obviously, we know it's still very fluid and ongoing, and so we don't know definitively one way or another. But I think it's important to discuss these type of things, because we got to make sure that we talk about race a lot on this platform, but gender is important as well. Representation is important as well, and making sure that we understand that right, like we said, right is right, wrong is wrong, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether you white, yellow, brown, pink, or orange. If you do something that is illegal, if you do something that's as disgusting as this appears to be, if it's true, you gotta sit down, bro. That's just the bottom line. So any final thoughts before we wrap, fellas?
No, pretty much said it all.
Yeah. And I think, we'll probably revisit this as things kind of progress. I'm not saying like a update every week or every 2 weeks, but once there's a resolution, we determine what the next step is, whether it's him settling or going to trial, or the case may be, we'll certainly circle back. But like I said before, we usually kind of have a more of a lighthearted tone with these pods, but when we got to talk about the real, we got to talk about the real. And that's one of the situations here. So, fellas, as always, particularly Rel and Daryl, we appreciate you guys joining us on this episode. Will, you know what it is already. So like I said at the beginning of the podcast, man, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Please continue to watch, continue to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on DSPs and platforms and such, continue to do so, continue to support. We appreciate you guys. You want to say what's up, please? You got a cameo real quick on the video. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for watching, continue to support. And we will see you guys next time. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Cheers.